Hi, I'm Jeannie. Welcome to Mimi Craft, your home for all things creative and DIY on a budget. I make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Hey Mimi Crafters, it's great to have you back for another video. If you're new to my channel, I hope you find something here today that makes you want to come back and subscribe. Now, let's get on to the projects. Our first project is a lantern that will use 192 tumbling tower blocks, or a little under 3 boxes. I'll be using Dollar Tree Super Glue wood glue and my needle tip applicator glue bottle. Start by gluing together 36 sets of 3 tumbling tower blocks end to end. Next, glue together 16 sets of 2 tumbling tower blocks. Additionally, you will need 16 single blocks. Glue the blocks together in the following sequence. From the bottom up, you're going to glue a row of 3, a row of 1, a row of 3, a row of 2, and a row of 3. You'll repeat this 3 times to complete one side of the lantern. You can also glue this pattern just using single blocks. It's just going to be a little bit harder to hold things in place. Once you get completely done, you're going to want to put some blocks in as spacers to hold the rows in place as it dries. When each side was dry, I put some glue in any open spaces and then put sawdust into the cracks. I did this by doing the glue first, sanding afterward, and then just pushing the sawdust in. This is the order in which you'll glue the lantern together. Make sure that the double and single spaces all line up. Run a bead of hot glue along the inside seam to help support the wall as the wood glue dries. It's also a good idea to put something behind it to support it. Note that these first 2 walls go on top of the structure that's laying on the table. Now these 1s and 2s are a little bit tricky to put together. You may have to put a little bit of stress on some of the blocks to get them to meet up. These blocks are not real regulated in their size and stuff, so good luck to you. To add hot glue on this one, I let the glue get a little bit tacky for a while, and then I adjusted each of the block sets, make sure they were in the exact right spot before I added hot glue. It was a little trying. When the seams are dry, fill in any openings or cracks, especially on those edges, you might have a lot, with some of the sawdust like we did earlier. You'll place the last side on top of everything. Just put wood glue on all the blocks on the left and right and carefully place the last side. Use tape to keep the joints in position as everything dries. And then I really strongly recommend that you put something heavy on top of this while you're waiting for the glue to set. This piece of old countertop should do the trick. Again, fill in spaces with wood glue and sawdust. Now I have an electric palm sander, the Ryobi Corner Cat. It's really old, but it has really been a lifesaver doing all these wood projects and might not be a bad thing to have in your arsenal. And this is how the lantern turned out. This is how it looks with fairy lights. I've been curious to see what the inside of one of these lanterns would look like if it was painted, what kind of effect that would give the light. So I bought this copper acrylic paint and I made a smaller version of the same lantern, painted the inside and put it together to see how that would look. And this is how it turned out. I think it looks real pretty. Surprisingly enough, there was not a real big difference at night. You can see it. It's very, very hard to pick up on video. You do see a difference, but it's pretty subtle. I like it. And here's how they look side by side, both with battery operated candles. My inspiration for this piece was from a lamp that I saw from Restoration Hardware, but as you're going to see, it morphed into so much more. Start with 2 wooden wreath bases that can be purchased at Dollar Tree. Paint the rings on all sides with chalk paint. I chose black. What you see me doing here is after I painted that inside rim, I'm making sure that there's no drips on the edges so that I get a really smooth result. I carefully selected tumbling tower blocks to be as close to the exact same size as I could. It took me 62 blocks. For you, it may be plus or minus because of the irregularity of the blocks. Glue the blocks to the perimeter of the ring as you see on screen. If I do this again, I will add glue in between the blocks as well, even though they don't touch the outside. You may need to cut a block to fit at the very end like I did. I purchased this craft miter saw on Amazon. When the glue is completely dry, take your second ring and push it in all the way to the bottom till it's touching the other ring. Going to put glue all the way around because that ring is going to be glued up at the top. I put it down just a little bit because, as you can see here, I'm pulling the ring up into the glue, and it's going to move the glue just a little bit. Press the ring firmly into the blocks. Wipe off any excess glue as needed. I put tape around the perimeter of the project just to give a little extra security to it while the glue was drying. When I saw how the circular frame turned out, I knew it just had to be a clock. I actually took one of my old clocks, which is still available on Amazon. There's a picture you see on screen for it, and I cut it down to fit. It was silver. I wanted it to be black, so I just used black chalk paint to paint the whole clock. And this is how it looks. I used one hook for the ring and one hook for the clock. For this project, we'll be adding a shelf to the round frame. For the shelf to fit where I wanted to place it, it took 17 blocks. You can make it larger to go across the diameter or shorter to go down higher or lower. Because this is such a long span, you're going to need a little bit of support, especially in the middle. So glue popsicle sticks underneath the shelf. I glued them toward the back so that they wouldn't show. You mostly need the support in the center. And this is how this one turned out. You can see it sagging just a little bit in the center. That was before I added the popsicle sticks. I did not glue the shelf in. I simply placed it and it sat quite nicely for something that doesn't weigh very much. Next is my spin on the Restoration Hardware lamp. Glue 3 blocks end to end. Again, I made sure that the blocks were as close to the same size as possible. Make 18 sets of 3. Make 2 blocks that are 9 rows high. Next, make a block that's 4 blocks wide and 3 blocks tall. Thoroughly sand all 3 pieces and fill in any gaps with wood glue and sawdust. Paint the blocks on all sides with black chalk paint. This is the order you'll glue the blocks together. On the first big block, you're going to put glue directly on the bottom of it and place that on top of the skinny block. Make sure everything lines up. I like to run a bead of hot glue along the seam on the inside of the project just so that it secures it while the glue's drying. Place something behind it to support it while it dries. It should look like this. To attach the other side, place the glue on the side of the skinny block and then secure the back wall. You can put hot glue in there if you like, but it's pretty difficult to access. It'll look like this. And this is how the ring is going to fit in there. I'm not going to glue it in. You can if you choose to, but I wanted it to be removable. Next, you'll use hot glue to secure lights to the inside of the ring. I had fairy lights, so that's what I used. If you want to use fairy lights, just make sure that the hot glue is on the wire and not on the lights themselves. These lights didn't have any plastic over the wire, so I was able to use hot glue. If there's plastic over your lights, I don't think you'll be able to use hot glue to secure it. Another form of lighting that would be good would be LED strip lights that can be cut. I just kept gluing around till I reached the battery pack. My fairy lights were 70 feet long, quite a bit. You could put the battery pack inside the box or behind the box. This is how it turned out. This is how it looks without the box. It sits real nice without it. I decided to try hanging it on the wall. And then after seeing how that looked, I went ahead and put the shelf back in. I think it looks pretty cool. Next, we'll turn this into a tray. I used a 12-inch wood round that I purchased at Dollar Tree. If you can't find any, they have 12-inch round signs that you can paint and use the same way. I started by filling in the holes, and you can see that my wood filler here doesn't match, but they're such small holes I decided just to leave it as is. I didn't try to paint it or anything. Place glue on the wooden ring, and then you can place your wood round directly on top of the glue. Add screws for extra security if you want to use this as a serving tray. Now I know this is the back side, but that glue that squirted out offends my sensibilities, so I cleaned it off. Check to make sure none of the glue goobed in on the inside. I found a couple tiny spots. And then put something real heavy on top until it sets. And this is how mine turned out. I've been wanting to make a wood chain with the tumbling tower block, so I decided to make one for that tray we created. Each link on the chain will require 4 blocks. Make one full link to start with, and then however many links that you want after that, you're going to do only 3 sides so that you can attach them. You really need blocks that are the same size for this to turn out well. Use extra tumbling blocks to support your project as you add links. Add glue toward the ends of the block where you're going to attach it, and place the last side. Here's a side view. Just add as many links as you like. This is also a good time to, I should have said, before you attach these, that's a good time to paint. I painted after the fact, and it was a bear. I painted these links black because I wanted it to go with the tray that I made, but honestly, I think I like how they look better natural. Here's the finished project, and here's how they look in the tray that I made. I'll leave a link in the description box for the tutorial on how to make that little tray you see in the back that has the succulents on it. As I was videoing the final result of that light, I decided to put the tray backing back on to see what it would look like lit up at night as a tray. Thanks so much for joining me for this video. I sure do appreciate it. I also would appreciate if you would leave a comment. Let me know which one of these projects is your favorite and whether or not you think you'd like to make it. Until the next one, bye!